Down among the poison irises grows one of my favorite wild greens. And today, I'm going to show you the absolute best way to prepare wild greens at home. The plant I'm after is called wood nettle, and you can see its broad leaf with serrated edges. And if you look really closely, you'll see all of those little hairs along the stem and leaves. Well, those are stinging hairs, and this plant is very closely related to stinging nettle, which is a lot more popular. You won't find the wood nettle out in open areas like you might stinging nettle. You're going to find these in the woods, in the forest, in the low areas near the banks of creeks and streams. You might be wondering how I'm not getting stung while picking a stinging wood nettle. Well, I do occasionally, and I'm okay with that. But if it bothers you, then take some gloves. But don't worry, the stinging part of this plant cooks off just a few seconds after you hit it with some heat. Collard greens are ready in my raised bed, and so I'm going to add a few of these to my batch of wood nettles. A fresh herb like this oregano or a rosemary makes the perfect addition to this wild green recipe. The ingredients are simple. I've got chopped garlic, some salt, a lemon, some crushed red pepper, some olive oil, and of course that oregano that I picked from the raised bed. First in is my chopped garlic. Then a little bit of salt, and a little bit more salt. I'm going to put my collard greens in first because they're a little thicker than the wood nettles, and it takes just a couple minutes longer for those to cook down. Add in a little crushed red pepper to give these greens some heat. And don't worry if you've got some water left over on your greens. A little bit of moisture and that leftover water actually helps in the cooking process. Helps to steam the greens a little bit. All right, and just as you pull it off of the stove, you want to sprinkle in some lemon juice. I'm just going to squeeze about a half a lemon right on top of these greens, and that is really a key. Adding just a little bit of that acid, balsamic vinegar also works really, really well. I really wish you were here to try these today, because the combination of these flavors, the wild greens and even the collards or whatever you might be growing in your raised beds or your garden, those hot pepper flakes with that garlic and then that hit of acid right at the end. Man, I mean, just such simple ingredients completely revolutionize wild greens, and they literally make you want to have them for every single meal. And these wood nettles, oh my gosh, they have such an incredible flavor. Those leaves just soak up all of those other flavors that are kind of stewing around in the bottom of that pan. Such an awesome combination. And so that, my friends, is how you take wild greens of almost any kind, even dandelions, and turn them into a dish that you will absolutely crave. If you'd like to learn more about foraging for wild edible plants, consider taking my free Wild Edible Plant mini course at wildedibleplantofthemonth.com.